All right, we're getting ready to start our next one. And I want to start off by kind of teeing this up properly. After spending time understanding Eukodyne's business model and how they work, I kept coming back to kind of one concept. They're business operation doctors. And I don't say this lightly. I say it because my wife is a physician. She's a doctor. So I've seen what real diagnosis looks like. You don't prescribe before you assess. You don't treat symptoms without understanding the root cause. There's rigor required, there's methodology required, and there's discipline required. And that's Eukodyne. There's Six Sigma operators who deeply understand operations. Variation, process, architecture, execution risk. They know that if your operational foundation is unstable, AI is not going to do much. And in fact, it could even make things worse. What's interesting, though, is they started as a software company, and they realized something pretty important. Transformation isn't really a product problem. It's a human and process problem. So consulting became the differentiator. And so today, they're kind of half product, half consulting, integrated around designing the right process architectures to actually thrive in an AI environment. And leading that is Konstantin Paradizov. And he is a former Marine, and he lives by their two guiding principles, mission accomplishment and troop welfare. That means deliver the results and take care of your people. And today they're going to show you how to make transformation stick across both immature and mature organizations, because scale demands different discipline at different stages. So let's welcome them.
In the world of systems integration, a successful go-live doesn't always mean a successful business outcome. We've all seen completed projects that the shop floor operators simply do not use. At Eukodyne, we avoid this problem by focusing on the business process first. You can automate a mess, but you will just end up getting a faster mess. So we don't start with the software solutions or hardware solutions. We start by focusing on your business reality. We are business operations doctors for manufacturers. We bring 15 plus years of food and beverages experience with Six Sigma discipline and US Marine Corps focus on mission accomplishment. We aren't learning on your dime. We have lived through 4 a.m. production outages, and we know how to diagnose waste that others ignore. What makes us unique is that we're not just an integrator. We are a hybrid platform company. With over a decade in the trenches, we've built a robust suite of MES modules specifically geared towards the complexities of food and beverages manufacturing. From production scheduling and lot traceability to advanced recipe management and batch control, we have the tools ready. Whether it's managing inbound and outbound shipments or quality control integration into your workflow, we don't start from scratch. We evaluate your project and either customize our modules to fit your needs, or if it's better for your business, we choose a different path entirely. We aren't married to a platform. We are married to a business outcome. Our business doctor approach follows a 5-step journey from diagnosis on your floor to treatment and eventual cure with AI-enabled MES. We don't just go live. We manage your vitals like overall equipment effectiveness, right first time, and on time in full, with 24/7 senior level support. Our customers appreciate quick turnaround. Most of their problems are solved in less than an hour. We've helped our clients grow close to 300% by removing the need for the Big Four consultants with real working solutions. We stay in the room until the blind spots are gone. Our mission is to fix the process so your people can actually focus on what creates value. If you want to see the cure in action, join our workshop on minimal infrastructure for on-prem AI. We'll show you how to get these results without the cloud overhead. See you at the workshop or visit us at booth number 18.
Please welcome to the stage, Eukodyne.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? All right. So we're going to talk about the human-first approach today. And before we do that, since we are here at ProveIt, we all talk about connect, collect, store. We wanted to tell you that we can take care of this entire stack of skills, but if you really ask people, what do you like doing the most? Because a lot of people here would say they can take care of this. We highlighted some of the items for you that are really close to our heart. So finding patterns, reporting on the issues, and solving hard problems has been something that actually runs in the family. We have been doing this, my brother and I, so meet Eugene Paradizov. We have been in Slovenia as teenagers helping our stepfather, who is electrical discharge machining pioneer. He immigrated out of the Soviet Union with 80 patents, and he was one of the forefathers of this technology that was used by aerospace, GE Aerospace, McDonnell Douglas in manufacturing of their turbines, by German auto manufacturers. And what you see there is those electrical discharges on an oscilloscope. So we as teenagers helped them fine-tune this. And I remember in the 90s, he already had nanosecond resolution on analog devices. So here we are in 2026, talking about the digital advances that come closer to what analog equipment can do. But what is important in 2026? It is not the infrastructure itself. It's the human-first approach. It is focus on delivering results, having the right experience, the expertise to be able to solve problems for manufacturers, and having the focus on change management, because we've all been through initiatives where solutions are deployed, but they end up being not used by anybody. And so change management has become acute in our lives in 2026. So we want to make sure that we lead the discussion from the human-first approach. And with that, I want to introduce you our special guest, our strategic partner, Rashmeet Sangari. And Rashmeet, please introduce yourself. She's going to talk about AI readiness. And what have you seen in the industry lately?
Sure, Konstantin. Nice to meet everyone here. A little bit of introduction. I'm the founder and CEO of Skypreme. We work on building industry's digital foundation, right? And a little bit about my background. I've spent 20 years in the industry. I was most recently leading digital transformation for Johnson & Johnson, where I went around the world, did assessments at their manufacturing sites, and also helped in deployment of AI. And I did my education at MIT, focused on supply chain, so I'm bringing experience as well as academic rigor. What I have seen is, a lot of the AI pilots recently failing, right? There was a study that was recently done by MIT which said 95% of AI deployments are failing. And why is that? It's not because the technology is bad. It's because the foundational work is missing. And that's where we truly come in. You have to put in the effort to make sure that the process is streamlined, the data is correct, it's high quality, the operational readiness is there, and the the organizational readiness is there. So we've built an assessment, which we do at the sites to make sure that they are ready, and we handhold it. As Eugene said, we are very much focused on, as Konstantin said, we are very much focused on process first. So with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. And this is information that we're all required to give at ProveIt. So you have Rashmeet's assessment, and you have the price and the time. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So for the next part of it, let's have a show of hands if anybody here is skeptical about anything you've seen so far in different presentations, anything you think is upcoming, or this particular presentation. Okay, great. We have some skeptics in the room. And let's ask the question, why is that? Why do you think that people come here and they're not getting what they want? Is it because they're not seeing solutions to the problem that they came to find the solution for? And if they're not seeing the solution, why is that happening? Is it because you're coming and you're seeing all these conversations and they're about somebody else's problem but not yours? Then, okay, you can say, why is that? It's because they're not talking about your specific pain point. And when you think about it, there's something interesting going on. When you talk to a lot of technical people offline, they'll tell you, oh, the customers don't know what they want. And that's the running joke, but what we wanted to say is that may or may not be true, but it's not the right perspective to look at things, at least in our opinion. We know that customers know what hurts. And so they frequently may have more problems that they feel the pain from, but whenever they know what hurts, that's the right start of a conversation. So think about it. You wake up one day and your arm hurts. And you might think, what did I do last night? What did I do the night before? You can't figure out what you did. So you might Google it and see, what do we do with an arm pain? You might ask your favorite AI. At the end of the day, you have a long list of options. You still don't know what the problem is. So you go to see a doctor. And when you see a doctor, if you got the good doctor, they're going to diagnose you. They're going to talk about your symptoms, but they're going to go back to the root causes. And then they're going to treat the root causes. They're going to prescribe the treatment options. You're going to talk about them. You're going to figure out and agree on which treatment plan to take. And then you're on your way to getting cured. Depending on how bad the ailment is, you might need to come back for follow-ups to manage your condition. So in manufacturing, it doesn't have to be different. There are people who care and who will talk to you starting with your pain point first. That way, they can guarantee that at the end of the day, they're solving your problem specifically, not someone else's. So, what did we do here for ProveIt to illustrate that? We worked with Enterprise B, and we picked two use cases. One for the less mature manufacturers in terms of digital transformation, and one for the more mature ones. So if we look at what we've got in Enterprise B, the first example is treating the acute pain of upset distributors. So we got this new customer that does not track their customer feedback. So repeat problems happen, and we asked them, what do you do? They said, oh, we treat it on a one-off basis. But there's another customer that is perfect at doing this, very meticulous. So we thought we would take the existing module that we already built, one of the modules in our portfolio, and add Agentic AI on top of it, and close the feedback loop. And Eugene, you can go show the next part. We're seeing the PowerPoint. All right. So if you can show the MQTT part, I'll just show them real quick. So right now, the requirement has been to publish a SESME SM profile compliant payload. So what we're doing is we're taking an outside system that tracks customer feedback. we are checking what are the trends in complaints. And the AI agent comes up with the recommendations and publishes that payload into the unified namespace. Then from there, you can see it in the dashboard. If we can take a quick look at it, the customer feedback one. Yep. So we're closing the loop here between the complaints of the customer and your production shop floor. So think about how much value you could get if the operators on the shop floor could see something like this. As they begin to work on the next product, they see, oh, in the last 3 months, you've had complaints about this. So as you work on this production run, make sure you look out for these specific things, and there are recommendations. And people that came to our booth were asking, well, how do you make sure that the recommendations that you give are actually good ones? So what happens is the AI agent looks at all the recommendations that it gave before for that type of product. And if it sees that it keeps recommending the same thing, but you're not doing anything about it, it will lower the score of that recommendation. And you can see the color coding behind me. So if the score drops below a certain point, it stops recommending this. So it's a self-improving mechanism saying, hey, you're not paying attention to what I'm recommending, so I'm just going to stop recommending this. So that closes the feedback loop. And to actually bring it home, I want to tell you this personal anecdote. So one of the cars in the family is a Honda Accord. And in the trunk of that car, there is a sensor right in the middle. And as you open the trunk, you can see it. So as we were loading big bags going on the skiing trip, we chopped it off. And now the key fob doesn't work. That sensor was actually to sense that you're locking your keys in the trunk. And in case you do it, it opens the trunk back up. But who came up with the idea of placing it where you're putting your bags in? So now I want to provide feedback to Honda to say, move it, don't put it there. There is no way for me to tell Honda to change their design. But this example is something easy, something simple that any manufacturer can do. So that's the first one. And this here, you're seeing the example. That's our system that we built, the customer feedback management module. It goes to the nth level of categorization. So you, as the customer service department gets the complaints, they can categorize them. They have the workflows in here that they assign specific person responsible, and then they track if the customer actually made a suggestion. Was the customer angry? What is the short-term? What is the long-term corrective action? All this information, and most importantly, the root cause is here. So this gets fed to AI to then come up with those recommendations. So that's that first use case. Again, everything that we're publishing with this is SASME compliant. There is a chatbot that we hooked up to this, and what it allows you to do, besides asking questions about what you just saw, actually in the Documents tab, you can upload specific guidance about your factory so that when those recommendations come up, they consider your specific situation. So this is how you guide the AI. You load the documents here, and then your model is analyzed. So that one was the first one. And now we're going to look at a different use case, which is much more advanced. And this is the example of the more advanced manufacturer. It's happening?
I don't know.
Technology issue?
Yep. I wouldn't say there's pricing also that we want to mention.
Yes. So the pricing information, because again, we have to provide this. So blind spot remediation study. This is part of our approach where we come in and analyze the business issue and map out the processes. So this is that whole doctor persona engagement. $20,000, 80 hours of work. Usually this is over a span of 2 to 3 weeks. And you come out of this with an assessment of, are you capable in terms of change management? What are the process gaps? So this is where we apply the 6 Sigma skills. And then you know that the recommendations that we provided, they could be using some of our solutions or some of the partner solutions or other company solutions depending on what your situation is. So we're, again, not married to just our product. This particular piece of information, customer feedback management module, $30,000 a year with quick implementation from 1 to 4 weeks. And the Agentic AI, you have all of this running on premises. So the box is standing right here. You buy this yourself from Dell. It's under $5,000. And we provide you with the software stack that, again, can be quickly implemented in 1 to 4 weeks for $20,000 a year. And this is all on-prem AI. So I think we need to go to the next one. Yes. Advanced medicine example. So besides unplanned downtime remediation, in this case, they also have expenses associated with damaged equipment. So for anybody who is not familiar, cavitation in high-speed filling of carbonated soft drinks production lines, it's the formation of those CO2 bubbles. And when they have a difference in pressure in the pipe, and there is a sudden drop in pressure, the bubbles implode, causing damage of the pipe or the pump impeller. So the equipment gets damaged. So it's not just downtime that they have to deal with. And what we're going to show you is with these boxes again, we have developed for this ProveIt conference the GPU-based MQTT Broker, which is a HiveMQ extension. And it is able of consuming 26 million messages per second. So if you think about it, this is like drinking from a fire hose. When that happens, we filter out the noise and we forward the rest of the valuable messages to HiveMQ so you can do whatever you want with it. If you want to adjust your production, if you want to stop your production, it's all your choice at that point. And if you want to show the funnel, yes, the latency Eugene is showing me is measured in nanoseconds here. If you look at this funnel, once it refreshes, yes. So it shows you that we get millions of messages in. We give you the way to configure conditions, the rules of saying, I'm only interested in these messages, the rest of the messages you can drop. So it reduces the number of messages. Then there's deduplication. So if you have a value of 80, 80, 80, 80 going, and then it changes, we're going to try to show you only the value that changes. And then we're forwarding the messages to HiveMQ, which for this demonstration, we rate limited at around 8,000 messages per second. So that allows you then to detect problems in manufacturing at high speeds and act on them. And what we're also doing is specifically for the cavitation problem is statistical process analysis right in there. So we analyze the waveform and there's a sliding window. So there are 3 sliding window algorithms working to do the detection. There's the sound pressure level detection. There is the vibration sensor analysis with the sliding digital Fourier transform. And there's acoustic energy root mean square. So we're analyzing literally the sound of the waveform and finding the frequency that tells us you have a problem in your pipes. And this all happens when you do the statistical analysis. It's 5 million messages per second. So we're able to do that in real time on these boxes.
It's happening right now.
That is happening right now. So what you see, the data is live. The numbers are changing. We hooked them up. So let's quickly talk about what makes that possible. Because some people came to us and said, well, isn't that approaching the physical limits of the hardware? How can you pump the data so quickly? So we're going to go back to the slides for a second and show you that to get the data that fast, we're using data center grade cables. And these boxes, they have the QSFP56 ports. So each cable, just wanted for some of you to see what they look like. can bring 200 gigabits per second. So there are two cables. It's 400 gigabit per second connection. So we're not even close to the physical limits of what that wire can pump. So then the question is, how do you get it on there anyway? Do you bypass the PLCs? The answer is you don't have to. So you have two ways. You have FPGA-based sensor systems that are actually capable of sending that signal directly. But you also have the legacy equipment at the manufacturing sites that uses Ethernet ports. So luckily for us, NVIDIA has come out with a device. It's actually a card that gets inserted into a server that's called Bluefield 3. And what it does is it aggregates the network traffic and repackages it into this remote direct memory access protocol. So then you are able, after that, to consume it with devices like this. So again, we had to provide the information on pricing. So the Spark Broker HiveMQ extension, $20,000 a year, and to deploy with configurations 2 to 3 weeks. The box you buy yourself, it's going to be under $5,000. And it is a very, very good value, and we're very excited to be able to do this on premises now. Do we have anything else?
Just to notice that this Spark Broker HiveMQ extension is a GPU-based MQTT broker that runs on the GPU and not CPU, as pretty much all other brokers are running. So that makes it world's first, as far as we know. We do not know of any other MQTT brokers right now that are running on GPU with this throughput that we have. So with that, this is the last slide. So
yes, so we have talked to HiveMQ about collaboration opportunities, and we're also exploring opportunities with CirrusLink. This is very exciting technology, so we'll see where it takes us.
it's time to open for Q&A at this point.
Yep.
Okay.
And we're 1 minute early, so you guys get your time back.
This will test my ability to not use a microphone because I don't. Oh, there it is. All right. I was ready to talk loud. All right, so we're going to put the slide out there. If you have any couple questions, I have a couple myself. I'll kind of get us going. First one's just kind of more understanding your company, because you're a consultant, but you have an MES product. You've got this hardware. It's almost like you're an Accenture and an MES combined. Can you kind of explain how you would compete in this space?
Yes. So we think about this in terms of the accountability gap. If you imagine how when manufacturers have a certain pain point, a problem they need to solve, if you hire big four companies, they come in, they consult you, and then they give you a slide deck and they leave. At that point, you're hiring somebody else to implement it, and they might look at that slide deck and say, well, half of it is wrong, we actually should do it a different way, and then they bring in other vendors to provide the software and hardware solutions. In our case, we are staying end-to-end so that when we provide those recommendations that we talked about, we are responsible for making sure that they're all actionable, that nobody else is going to come in and say, well, whatever you recommended, nobody can do this. So we're there. It's our reputation on the line. And the manufacturer gets the same people to recommend and to be there through execution. So that helps us to set ourselves apart from those other competitors.
One addition to that is that after the execution, we still stay with you.
With the production support,
to support you further and make sure that you do not miss a step going forward.
We make sure that we actually solved the problem. So if we're staying, we're watching how you use our product, and if you're not using something, we're coming back and asking questions, because that means we delivered something wrong. So that's the differentiating approach. We do 24/7 support, and we make sure that what we did is valuable to you.
So I got another question. You showed, I think it topped up to 28 million messages a second. Can anyone else do that?
From what we've seen at the conference so far, there is nobody else that can do this because nobody else is trying to send messages through the GPU. If you think about it, that rate is processed on the GPU before it hits the CPU. That's why we're funneling, that's why we're giving you the rules engine to filter out the noise.
One important addition to that is that what you saw with the millions of messages is not happening inside one box. It's actually one box is simulating a factory with all those sensors running, temperature, pressure, and then sending all of those messages through this fire hose of a data cable to the other box. So those millions per second messages are actually coming across from one to the other. They're not within the same box. So that's an important distinction also, because we've seen some that can do some crazy numbers within the same box, but for us, it kind of makes little sense because you need to collect that data from somewhere else, not within the same box. So here it comes across the cable and gets processed on a different box with that speed. We haven't seen that anywhere else yet.
Well, that'll go right to a good question. You said you could run AI models at the edge. Is that all on that $5,000 Dell box? Can you give a little bit more detail on how that works?
Yes. So you buy that box, and we help you load it with models. So you just need to be aware of, when you buy this and you unpack it, it comes empty. There's a NVIDIA version of Linux on it and nothing else installed. And what NVIDIA wants you to do is go to their website and download their pre-built packages with models. And the one thing to be aware of is that if you do that for work, as soon as you start using those packages, you're on the hook for NVIDIA Enterprise AI license. And they don't sell that license for just 1 year. They sell that for multiple years at a time. So you're looking at a $20,000 bill right away if you're using their stuff that they prepackaged. So what we are doing is we're filling this with open source models, and we add the tweaks that make it work for you.
Yes.
Well, that's a good question about the models then. I'm going to combine two questions here. What LLM do you use for your AI agents, and which model is used kind of on on-prem AI?
We've tested a couple of models. The one that we're using right now is GPT OSS 20 billion parameters. We also tested NVIDIA's Nemotron 30 billion parameters. The difference is that OpenAI's model is faster. And then the question is, what do you need more? Do you need the smartness of the world or the universe in that model, or do you need it to be able to solve your particular problem? And the problem most of us are solving is finding a needle in a haystack. Because if you route all the right context information and the right documentation to the model and say, here's information that will help you make a decision, here's information from my sensors, help me find the information I need and decide, you do not need the latest and greatest cloud models to do that. That's the finding of a needle in the haystack, and this model can do it perfectly fine. And I don't think we showed how fast it runs. If we just have a second, so while we're taking questions, if Eugene, if you can pull up that screen and just ask it something so people can see how quickly it responds, it will be something amazing. So, by the way, this chatbot also has memory in a way that it picks up the conversation. So you can say, we spoke about XYZ before, now I have an additional question, and it will pick it up. Go ahead.
You want me to wait for this to...
So look, while he is doing this, there's evaluation. When you ask something, this is actually an MCP connection. Pick another, yes, the PFAS contaminants that we were talking about. In this one, when you talk about customer feedback problem, you need to be a little bit more specific because at that site, they have a lot of different options. Look, when it types, you're getting the quick response. Right now, it looks like there's a connectivity issue going on.
To the Enterprise B. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've actually had this. The Enterprise B has been coming in and out. But what we wanted you to see is how quickly it types your responses back, and that's all happening on that box. So we care about that performance. So you need to be able to get your stuff quickly. You can actually, if you're using it in the mode where you don't care about the speed, you can load 300 billion parameter models on these boxes. They will support them, they will run them. Each box has 128 gigabytes of VRAM. So it's doable, it's just not very practical. But you can see if you scroll up that here, it's giving you responses. Yes, is this slower than the latest ChatGPT? Maybe. But is this good enough performance for manufacturing with on-prem AI? I would say so.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For the AI recommendation system, can you provide feedback when you complete a recommended task or decide not to use it so it can be reevaluated?
Absolutely. So this is something that we just didn't put in here in this particular demo, but I think that whole use case is like the easiest use case in the context of our company, because we are already tracking everything related to feedback. And the customer that uses that module, they also have an additional module where they complete the job and they have the way to say, we did X, we did this, they put the commentary. So it's easy to do this, absolutely.
So if you're back up and running, you want to try and ask it a specific chat? You see that on there?
Yep.
It says, create me a 3-sentence executive summary about Enterprise B ProveIt factory and 3 problems with the data.
You can try that.
Yeah.
While it's doing that, how big can be a context for a model in tokens?
Good question. So what we did for this is, I think, set up at 32,000 tokens for the context window, but it can actually support 128,000. The difference between those is in how many concurrent work streams it supports. So this one box, you can have 8 users hitting it simultaneously. So this is not just for one user. You can have 8 users hitting it, and at 32K token context window, if you manage your prompt with the chatbot carefully, it's sufficient to do the analysis. Now, if you have bigger context window, it means you can upload bigger documents. But the way we manage it is very efficient with the prompts. And you have the response for the query that we had. So we can take a look at it. And Enterprise B, ProveIt Site 1 operates, so you can see what it says. So it went out. By the way we constructed this is there are several different pipelines to get the data. And when you ask a question, the chatbot evaluates the question and says, is this something for what I need a knowledge graph? And there is a Neo4j knowledge graph behind it, and it will go and find that specific information. Or it will say, is this something of a broad question where I need the visibility over the entire unified namespace? And it follows a different pipeline and then gets information that's for the general observation kind. And it uses ClickHouse database behind it for semantic vector search. So we are historizing the data at the same time. So like if you ask anything about history, it will know for the last 7 days what you did, because that's what we configured it for the conference. But it's doing all that, so when you ask this question, it immediately has historical context as well. So, and then it has MCP tools connected to it, and this itself is an MCP tool to Claude. So if, for example, you don't want to use our UI, you don't have to. You can connect Claude to it, ask these questions, and it will go and answer them through that MCP server.
I like that you did this. I don't think anyone else in any of the live demos had an audience question pulled right into it, so that was
yes.
cool. So,
thank you.
Did you try to use this Dell hardware to help you do agentic AI programming for your MES modules and modifications for customers?
So right now we have, thank you for that question. Right now we have a production pilot approved, and these guys approved it right before us coming to the conference. So we told them that we can only come and install after we get back. But we did go through the arrangement of what's going to happen with this. So there is a specific use case. When they execute the recipe at the edible oils factory, we're able to observe their execution and tell them, help the operators basically complete the next steps. We know what got loaded, what ingredients they're working with. If they have a shift changeover and a new person comes in, even if they don't pass the information, the people are able to ask the chatbot, hey, what are we working on? Like, how far did we get into this? And it will give them the exact information. So we have the pilot approved. And the interesting thing about that is that it only took 2 days with these boxes to secure that approval. 1.5 days was convincing the IT team, global IT and local IT, that this is a good idea. And then it's very easy to convince the plant manager because we tell them, listen, let's bring this in. You don't pay anything until you see value. We demonstrate the value. If you like it, you keep it, you start paying for it. And they were like, let's do this. On the IT side, just want to tell you that this runs an NVIDIA's version of a Linux image on it. And their challenge was, well, we're a big company. We actually only install our own images of everything on the servers. We don't want anybody else's image. So what they're doing is they're creating an isolated subnet, and they're placing these boxes there so they cannot go and talk to anything. But then we tell them what other servers of theirs can talk to this. And we secured agreement with their local IT to be able to come over to the server rack and do any kind of physical support if needed. So that we're looking forward to. That's starting after we go back to New Jersey from this conference.
I just wanted to clarify with that question if it was about actually doing the programming using these boxes, like actually asking the AI on the box to help us do programming.
We do that all the time.
If that's the question, that we normally wouldn't use the box to do the programming. We use the box, we program the box to do what we wanted.
Yeah, we do that all the time to do whatever pertains to the box. So the scope of the question. If it's something, so these days you can use AI to help you configure something on it. You just load the AI and you talk to it and you say, okay, I am on this architecture, help me figure this out. So that we do. If it's general programming of MES modules, we don't need to program that on this box because there are other models and boxes available.
Yeah, these are more focused, narrow focused on what they deliver to the client.
Yes.
On-prem. When we code our stuff, we don't have to be on-prem.
Yes.
10 seconds. Let's see. You can answer this quick. I'm going to lump these together. Are you open to traveling for consulting services globally? Only work with US? And how big is your support team?
Yes. So we will work with our partners for the global work. So yes, we're able to travel for the exploration, for the initial engagement. And then the model would be to work with local partners for support. We do support ourselves within the United States. Right now, the support team is 3 people. And think about this. We make the product in such a way that we minimize the support calls. We do the 24/7 support to be able to answer those questions from the manufacturer in less than an hour. So it's only the senior, most knowledgeable people who know your business model that pick up the phone. So the customers love that. We don't let our developers pick up the phone. The support comes from the most senior. It's like having a surgeon on speed dial. That's what you get with us.
All right, with that, we'll wrap it up. Let's give Eukodyne a round of applause. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.